Good morning, dear friends. Welcome to another study of the book Right Path by the Spirit Emmanuel through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. Welcome, here we are for another study. Every week we're together to reflect and meditate. It's an invitation for us to bring our attention to the many advice, tips, and tricks and how-tos that the good spirits bring to all of us in this lifetime through the blessed books of the Spiritist doctrine. And today's chapter is number 59, that Emmanuel titled it, To Bear Our Cross. So let's look at our crosses and how we can better work what we need to go through. Emmanuel says, quote, Christ's cross is that of example and of sacrifice, inducing us to the spiritual ascent into the realms of elevation. But ours will be, above all, us in our own selves. Tolerate ourselves as we have been in multiple past experiences. We carry imperfections and debts that we inadvertently accumulated. However, thanking and blessing the acidity of the sweat and tears in the rescue of tribulation with which we will purify them. So, dear friend, what is the cross that you perceive to be carrying it today? Do you feel that your burden is heavy? Do you feel you're bearing the cross? And he's saying here, the cross of the Christ was that of example and sacrifice. The Christ, as the spirits remind us, is our guide and our model. That's the question 625 in the Spirit's book. Therefore, as a guide, he points the right direction, the right path, and he models for us what to do, how to go through things, emotional intelligence, perseverance, right? If you go to the book Jesus in the Home, Christ gave us the example of how it is to be in pure communion with God and the sacrifice he made during his life on the earth. As a pure spirit who didn't have anything to expiate or anything else to go through, he went and sacrificed, and we murdered him, right? So he said here, our cross is us with ourselves, in ourselves, because he says we have to tolerate ourselves the way we are, the way we have been. The personality, the incarnatory person you see today, the physical existence you're having here, dictated by your spirit's mind, just one very brief, short experience in the physical realm compared to immortality, compared to eternal, no end, pure ascension. So he's saying Christ's cross is of example and sacrifice that induce us to this spiritual ascent. Your destiny, dear friend, is to become a superior spirit. That's the law of progress. Item 100 of the Spirit's book. Go there and look at the hierarchy of spirits and see where you are. Look at the quality of the good spirits, closer to pure spirits, and make your millenary plan, performance improvement plan to be those characteristics. And he says here, we carry imperfections and debts that we inadvertently accumulated. That means me, you, and everyone on this planet. We are imperfect, so he says, tolerate ourselves as we are. And he says, however, thanking and blessing the acidity of the sweat and tears in the course of tribulation, which will lead us to purify ourselves. So we thank all of the experiences we've had, even those we chose inadvertently because we accumulated debts, and now we are here during the planetary transition, having to undergo for these collective trials, reaping what we sowed, perhaps in missions and learning opportunities if we're not here to expiate. He will say, a little bit later in the chapter, quote, "In numerous crises of the world, we deem excessively heavy the burden of the disenchantment which strikes our spirit. However, it's not the volume of educational disappointments that are indispensable to us that makes the shoulders of the soul shrivel, but our wounded pride to fade into our hearts. So sometimes what leads us to disenchantment, rebellion, disillusion is pride. The spirits tell us the worst of the vices is pride and selfishness, right? So we are pride, we're proud, we have pride, we want to be better, we are afraid of silence, we have to speak, we have to one-up people, we have to always have an example of how this happened to me, how I did it a better way. We're always trying to fix. We can't live with shame and guilt. We don't know how to deal with our emotions. And then if someone brings us an opportunity for improvement, obviously something you could work on, immediately we feel pride. We feel proud and we don't want to hear it. So sometimes the excessive burden of the disenchantment has to do with how you and I are still imperfect with these imperfections and the debts. Perfections plus debts plus the love of God, or actually times the love of God allows you to have what we have today. So what do? He says here, to bear our cross is to tolerate the inferior tendencies that still characterizes us without cherishing them, but also without condemning ourselves. Unquote. Let me stop this paragraph here. He says, to bear our cross is to tolerate the inferior tendencies that still characterize us. That means, dear friend, he's telling us you still have the inferior tendencies. It's okay to accept where you are. This is the baseline. I look inwardly. I say, this is what I do well. This is what I need to work in. These are my interior tendencies. I don't cherish them and be proud that I'm impatient. That's just the way I am. I'm always angry. That's just the way I am. And be proud of it. No, he said, don't cherish the inferior tendencies. But don't condemn yourself the way you can fall into shame and guilt. What does he actually says we should do? Quote, therefore, endeavoring to exhaust in service, patience, serenity, and abnegation, the scrap pile of shadows that we still habitually carry at the bottom of our activities of self-improvement or rehabilitation. Cry on many occasions, but never despair. To err often rectify us in every move on the road as many times as necessary, unquote. So he says, endeavor to exhaust your energies in service. Serve others. Go one step above. Let's stop using my things, my family, my work, my. Let's try to use we. Let's see if I can give up some things so others can have a little bit more and things can be a little bit more equal. So we can give everybody the same opportunities for launching the touchstone. If you have so much, God has granted all those resources. What are we doing with them? Are we just not helping others and just enjoying myself the way I want to be, buying things for me, my family, my work, my this, my the other? Those are the words of Emmanuel. Endeavoring to exhaust in service, patience, serenity, and abnegation. To cry is okay. Will never despair because the love of God is with you. And last but not least, we'll say to bear our cross, but never curse or lament it, but rather accept ourselves imperfect as we still are before God. But by every just mean, seek to improve and humble ourselves, always advancing, even if slowly, millimeter by millimeter, in the paths of ascension into the eternal life, unquote. So bear the cross that you are here to carry. Don't cherish it, don't condemn it, don't curse it, don't lament it. Accept yourself the way you are. If you need be, you are a multi-dimensional being. Go seek help. Go talk to a therapist. Go find a pastor. Go to the fraternal counseling. Whatever denomination of religious institution or spiritual beliefs don't have to be associated with a religious institution. If your cross is too much to bear, reach out to your community. Be in relationship with others, not the relationship of liking on Instagram and Facebook, but the relationship of actually reaching out to someone, helping them when they struggle, giving up in abnegation and service so that you can give up some of your resources to help those around you. Dear friends, I hope that the cross you have to bear is light. And I hope that between now and the next time we meet for another study of the book Right Path by Emmanuel, through the blessed mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier, may you stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.